Shut up and sit down.
By all means, go for it. Have fun. Just leave me alone.
People are coming together more and more and more and more as the government has been failing us more and more.
I'm against being shitty to people.
You can't research your way into understanding somebody.
One way or another, I'd rather have the fight now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fight for Liberty Live. Tonight, we have an awesome guest who's a great activist and does some cool things. We'll get into that in a minute. First, like always, we're going to talk a little bit about the people that pay the bills. Not really, they don't pay the bills, but we do love to support them, and the little support that we get back is great too. First and foremost, we're going to talk about Harrison Kemp. He's a great dude. He's running for governor of Maine. He's getting lots of really cool endorsements, and yeah, you guys should go help his campaign because he's all of those things that I just said. We're gonna make Maine be the first state to go gold, and New Hampshire can go cry to their moms about it, and that'll be fun. Next up, our favorite, Nugg of Knowledge. If you guys haven't already gone to nuggofknowledge.com and you're still watching this show, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe you just don't use cannabis, and then that's fine. But if you use cannabis and you're not going to Nugg of Knowledge to get all of the premium Delta 8, CBD, CBG, we've got like honey, we've got gummies, we've got vape cartridges, we've got flour, all sorts of fun things. You can use promo code FSM and you will get 10% off your first purchase. And on top of all of those great things that I just said, 10% of every purchase goes to helping end the war on drugs. So, that's awesome, right, guys? We like ending wars, and especially the wars on the drugs. So everybody go to Nugg of Knowledge, use the promo code, get your 10% off. Yeah. So today's guest, he is a representative on the Libertarian National Committee, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today we're talking about the fact that he's the founder of Greasy Porcupines, and I'll explain that with him. I'll let him kind of explain that a little bit better because I'm probably not going to do it too much justice. So, my good friend Alex Flores, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so I'll just get right into it. We've talked about this plenty of times, but I always like to start off with kind of like an intro testimonial question. So how did you get into this mess called the Liberty Movement?
Oh, boy. Well, it probably started for me in 2012. I wasn't actually, I'd done some political work in the Democrat and Republican parties, but had been kind of turned off by both of them, and was kind of following on with the Ron Paul movement in 2012. And when I watched the Republican Party literally chain the doors shut on Ron Paul delegations, I decided that it was time to find somewhere else to go, and was going to be politically homeless for a minute. And then a friend of mine, Barry Short, he's actually the chair of the Utah State Party, was running for a congressional district at the time, and invited me to one of his debates, and I liked what he had to say. And then I got to meet Gary Johnson shortly after that, and pretty much sold me on it. It was kind of hooked on the Libertarian Party ever since. So,
nice.
Stayed involved with that.
It's an addictive drug, isn't it?
Yeah, I stayed involved, helping with different cannabis initiatives across the country, mainly around the Western United States, and have helped either gather signatures or knock on doors for, different initiatives related to that. And so that's probably the main thing that got me going into liberty activism was getting nonviolent people free from cages, and getting them help and things like that for people who actually need medical help and not the criminal justice system. So
true that. I think that's a pretty common sentiment within the movement of like the thing that really pissed them off and got them to be like, nah, fuck all the government things was like, you're really just gonna throw these poor people into cages and pretend that like there isn't a way to help them get through this where they're not like just wasting tax dollars and then dying horrible, painful deaths. Like,
well, and
it's your
yeah.
solution.
And I'll be honest, like, you know, for a long time, I didn't really, you know, it wasn't really something that concerned me until it hit me at home. And they came for me and tried to take my kids away based off of cannabis. So that's what really got me politically involved, was like, this is not right. And the fact that states can do this to parents, and when arguably it makes a lot of parents better. Better parents, more attentive, and you know, for parents that deal with chronic pain, especially, it can be a life changer. So,
yeah, I think it's like a Morgan Freeman quote of like, you never hear about a dad getting stoned and then going home and beating his kids. It's like, yeah, I don't know it. Like, I definitely know stoners that are bad parents, and maybe the cannabis contributes to that because like they're just like obnoxiously forgetful and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know of anyone that's like, you know, a bad parent that's a stoner, like, because of, you know.
Yeah, and the parents that are, you know, forgetful, I would argue they probably are forgetful without marijuana, you know.
I know I am.
So yeah.
I'm more forgetful with it though. I'll concede that point to the bootlickers and the Republicans. So what is Greasy Porcupines, and like where did the idea come from? And then I'll ask you more questions as we go.
So Greasy Porcupines came about in 2020 when the economy shut. You know, I had been doing mobile auto repair service with my brother, actually, and we've been, you know, we started doing that in 2010, and then I went off around the Western United States to do various other things, and he kept doing mobile auto repair. And 2019, I got back into it with him, and in 2020, the economy shut down, you know, here in Arizona for a brief time. And there was a lot of people who were particularly in the service industry that were hit pretty hard. You know, they were furloughed or just didn't, you know, let go from their job completely, or and by the time it got around to things opening back up, a lot of people couldn't afford to get their cars fixed. And you know, cars had been sitting for a while, or they'd been driving it and neglecting obvious things that it needed because they just didn't have the money to keep up on general maintenance. And so their cars were deteriorating, and they were ending up with worse problems. And I kept running into this problem over and over, where I had these customers that I would go to, and I would go and give them a quote on what it is that they were looking at for a service, and they just couldn't afford it. And typically it was a pretty shocking thing for me to see, because if they couldn't afford it at our price, they definitely weren't going to afford it at a shop price, because we usually tried to keep our prices at a rate that were competitive with most automotive shops. And so you're saving money on a tow by having a mobile service come to you. You know, you don't have to have your vehicle towed anywhere, and most services can be done at home, you know, on site. And so we had a lot of people that just were not getting the services done. And so we started having other customers that would hear about this and would donate extra. And they would say, well, you know, can I help somebody get an oil change, or can I help somebody? And so in September 2020, Greasy Porcupines was started, and basically is based off of that mutual aid aspect of other people contributing to help motorists who can't afford those services to get their cars back on the road. And to date, we've helped 128 motorists.
Wow.
In the last 15 months that we've been in operation. So
that's a staggering number.
Yeah. And so some of those are,
no offense, but I was expecting like high 20s. maybe
no.
something like that.
And
Wow.
some of those are just as simple as an oil change, that they couldn't afford previously. Some of those were, they were stuck on the side of the road and had a flat tire and were not able to afford the tow service. And so they were stuck trying to hitchhike or figure out what to do. And, a lot of the inspiration for like the roadside aspect of it for me came from just doing that, from various incidences where I've helped people that were stranded on the side of the road. And, the worst thing is to be on a road trip or something like that, and you've got limited expenses and you end up with a flat tire or your car is overheating or something like that. And you're stuck miles from help. And, you don't have any way to get out of the situation, and, or without spending hundreds of dollars that you weren't expecting on this trip. And then your short trip to wherever you're going may end up being, thousands of dollars later. Yeah. And so, really, it just, I wanted to find a way to actually make a difference in my local community, like within here, here within Arizona. And, my car, has lp.org and it's plastic, has libertarian stickers on it. And so I get questions about that. And so I'm able to talk to people about the concept and, talk about the principles and the stuff that brought me to the party. So.
I like how it's Greasy Porcupines. So like everyone that's a libertarian gets that it's a libertarian thing, but if you're not a libertarian, you have no idea. It's like the perfect like sweet spot of like name recognition in the ways that you want it, without it being like, Liberty Automotive. That sounds gay. Like like that would have like no. That just sounds like a basic ass like auto shop. I'm sure there is a Liberty Automotive somewhere within a mile of me.
And then occasionally you get the people who are more scientifically inclined, and they know that obscure fact about porcupines, which is where I got the name from in the first place. And all porcupines are greasy, and it's something that most people don't know. And a lot of libertarians don't even know this, but all porcupines in the wild are greasy. They actually have a grease that coats their quills that's an antiseptic grease, and they've developed that through evolution over time, because porcupines are known for falling out of trees and impaling themselves with their own quills. And so they've developed this antiseptic grease on their quills to keep themselves from getting infected when they fall out of trees and impale themselves.
Wouldn't that also like be good for their predators and whatnot, that they stab with their quills also?
It's painful. So
that's true. They're still not going to be able to eat it. And if anything, that's kind of like a nice thing. It's like, I'm going to stab you, but you won't get infected. I just want you to fuck off. Like, that's such a libertarian thing. It's like, I want you to fuck off and then get better. Like that's perfect. That like perfectly encompasses what we're talking about here, about like the kind-hearted libertarian of like, we want to be left alone into our own devices and not be stolen from, but that doesn't mean that we just like want to leave people stranded on the side of the road with nothing to do. And like, that's not even a thing that government tries to fix necessarily right now. It's not like AAA is like a thing that you get with your Medicaid or something.
No.
Although I'm very surprised by that.
You can probably end up getting a tow from the police department. Well, they'll take your car to an impound yard and then you've got to pay them money. But
fuck the police.
Right. Then you have the whole thing of the government wants to know everything about you because they're towing your vehicle. So
yeah, no. Man, yeah, even that, just like the beautiful discretion of having like a nice under the table libertarian mechanic. It's like, yeah, nobody needs to know nothing about what we're doing here. So what was your first project that you did?
That's a good question. because it wasn't like an overnight thing. It kind of just started happening. I had these jobs that I was doing for people that I would just do it outside of what I was normally doing with the mobile mechanic service that I was doing with my brother. And so it's hard to say. There was a couple, and I'm trying to remember their name now, but they had a Chrysler 300 that had that has this really interesting oil cooler housing that sits on top of the motor, and it's made of plastic, and then it's really a terrible place. I don't want to get in trouble for talking crap about Chrysler engineers on your show, but anyway, it's just this design where they have hot, plastic sitting on top of a hot motor, and they break down really fast, and
it does not make any sense, but it makes sense for Chrysler.
Yeah, they have to get replaced pretty often. But anyway, they had this part and they couldn't afford to get it to a shop, and ended up working a deal with them to where, they had just paid me off over time. And, there's been some other people where I was just able to donate my time and say, here, I've got this and this is how I can help you. And, don't worry, it was free of charge. And so it's hard to say what the first one was, but there have been a lot. There have been a lot. So.
That's great. Oh, and we have our favorite viewer, late as always, but up in the comments. What up, Liz? That makes sense. Though. I like that. I like that you were doing the thing, and then you kind of were like, "Oh, hey, this is a thing that we're doing," and it kind of evolved. I feel like the typical progression of things would be like you think of this idea, then you make a Twitter account and a website and maybe some business cards, and you tell everybody you know about it, and then maybe you like do one oil change, and then like you keep telling a bunch of people about it, and then maybe like after like a year or two, it's like a thing that's doing something. But you were just like already working on cars, and then you're like, hey, this is let's give it a cute name, and like let's get a site, and like let's organize it a little bit better. I like that better. It's a better progression, and I feel like not only just because like for the obvious like kind of rude things that I kind of just said about some other people, it's like I think it creates a better system in the end. That you were kind of like working out the kinks before you were like, loud about it. And I don't know, at least in my experience, it makes for a better time.
Yeah. I very honestly, when I was just doing mobile auto repair, I hate mechanic work. It's busted knuckles. It's, your hands are sore, your arms, from cranking wrenches, it gets to be tiring, and day in and day out, you're constantly scrubbing oil and grit and stuff off of your hands. And, I got really, really tired of it when I felt like people just thought I was ripping them off. And, because that's the typical stereotype that you get with your mechanic, is you think that they're automatically trying to get you for every dollar they can. And, I hated that stereotype. So for me, it was more like, I need to do something about this that makes me feel like it's worth doing, that people can understand, that it's transparent, and people can see that like, hey, this is how this works. This is what you're being charged for. This is what you would pay at a shop. And, this is what I'm able to do for you, or this is, what we can work out. And then the donations, helping out to where people were able to get their cars back on the road for no cost to them. Like that was like an added bonus. Like the joy you see on somebody's face when like I'm able to like do a timing belt for them, and like somebody else paid for it, and they're like, wait, what? Like I don't, like if they had taken it to a shop, they'd have been looking at, anywhere from $600 to $1,000, just depending on, what kind of vehicle it was and how long it was going to be there. And, for them to be able to put it towards something else that they desperately need, it can make a lot of difference for people. And so that's really like it makes mechanic work worth doing at that point, because then it's like I still have the bloody knuckles at the end of the day, and I still have like the grease under the fingernails and stuff, but at least like, you know,
But it's for a good cause.
yeah, like I know that like I actually helped somebody today, and like it wasn't just like getting their car back on the road for an arm and a leg. It was like actually giving them a help up. So
That makes sense. Yeah, I basically took my car off the road for a multitude of reasons, but one of them was just because of like, you know, you were talking about like road trips gone wrong, and I just kind of like gave up on trying to take care of a car. Like I was just like, you know, also insurance was so much, and I was moving to New York City, and I was just like, nope, not gonna do it. But then since I've been working, I've been like renting cars and borrowing cars, and I've been driving a lot more the last like 2 years. So I'll tell a funny little anecdotal story about road trips gone wrong. Last year, last year, I was on my way to Virginia Beach for a training, one of the LNC regional trainings that they did. And on the way there, the car started doing weird things, and so we pulled over and started checking because it felt like a transmission issue. We were checking like transmission. I checked like a lot of the other fluids. I like topped off some of the fluids, and then I was like, you know what? While I'm down here, let me check the oil. Right? It's a thing that you check in these kinds of circumstances sometimes, right? So you know, pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, put it in, pull it out. In these kinds of circumstances, the bitch is dry, like just dry. Like there's no oil in this car. And I don't understand why like the oil light wasn't on, but also this isn't my car and I wasn't driving. I won't name the person whose car it was. But yeah, I don't know how, but this person hadn't changed or put oil in their car in God knows how long, and there was just none at all. So I put some oil in there and some other things, and we got to Virginia Beach, and we didn't die, and the car actually survived another like 3 months before it died on the highway while that person was moving. So that was a whole other wreck of the situation. But yeah, road trips gone wrong because of car issues. It's a great time.
No, I just got a message from somebody that just got a flat tire on the road. Like this, yeah, it's all the time. So,
so what's like the radius that you've been able to kind of work within? How far out do you go?
Pretty much anything in Arizona. Since I'm mobile, I'm able to go pretty much anywhere. I try to just keep it within Arizona, just for, I don't know. So I'm not going everywhere, but,
yeah.
You know, I'll probably be taking my vehicle up to Reno, for the national convention and stuff. So, I'll be up that way and, have my vehicle there, and people can see what it's kind of all about. Like it's nothing fancy. I've just got some tools in the back of a car, you know, but works out. Yeah.
Reno's going to be a fun time. I'm so excited to go there without having a delegate seat because I just get to have fun and you know, just hang out with people, meet all of these fucking people that I haven't met yet, which has been driving me nuts. Like I missed just like 3 or 4 really key conventions over the last year, and just missed out on so many awesome people, yourself included. And Reno should solve most of that, I think.
Yeah. Been to a couple of national conventions already, and I was a delegate. No. I was
just fucking.
I was gonna say I've been a delegate twice, and while I definitely recommend that experience if you've never been a delegate, I'm definitely like this convention. I'm actually probably going to give away my delegate seat because I just want to enjoy the other aspects of the convention. There's going to be some trainings going on. Some different breakouts. There's going to be some good events there. A lot of people that I've been really anxious to meet and see as well. So, and I'm on the convention oversight committee, so I get to help with the planning and help with.
Without knowing it, I am interviewing back-to-back convention committee people because I just had Kelsey Lyon on. Was my last episode, and she's also part of that group. I didn't know that about either of you guys. That's fun. Also, Jimmy. Yeah, most people don't. It's kind of sad. It's really sad, actually. It's one of those things that like I learned at like 7. That like I know many adults that. Not a clue. It's
Yep.
But you got to keep you guys in business, right? Like that's the. Don't complain about your job security, Jimmy. He's actually doing some really awesome stuff up in Western New York with like a homeschooling co-op, and they're buying like a big building and like being able to like rent it out to a bunch of different homeschooling groups and kind of get a lot of support for those groups as they grow and get started, because homeschooling is getting a lot more popular nowadays, which is kind of dope.
Right on. Yeah, I was just thinking about the whole the fact that he was a tow truck driver. It's it's pretty dangerous. People don't realize how risky it is being on doing roadside service. I think the statistic I had seen was something like there's it's like one roadside roadside driver, something like that, is struck on the side of the road like once every 9 days or something like that. So
wow,
it's happening like really often. And so yeah, it's job security.
Jesus,
it's rough. It's a rough job. So
man, yeah, I knew that happened. I didn't realize that there was anything close to that kind of numbers on it. Jesus. Glad I don't do that, I guess. Sorry, people that do.
Just a lot of people they will try to pull over immediately when they get a flat tire, which is a good thing. You're going to do less damage to your rim, but try to keep in mind that like wherever you pull off to, if somebody's going to be there changing your tire, try to get off the road. Try to get somewhere where it's going to be safe, because yeah, it's dangerous right there next to the road. A lot of times people aren't paying attention until it's too late.
Mm-hmm. PSA, folks, when you get a flat tire,
the more you know,
pull off all the way, and like get somewhere safe, and then fucking YouTube it and change it your goddamn self. You're an adult.
Most cars have the instructions in your instruction manual.
Right.
Your owner's manual will tell you how to change your tire and where to locate it. So.
Right, and most cars like come with like a half decent jack, and like, or at least like something.
It'll hopefully get you through one use.
And like, I don't know about you, but like growing up, my mom's car or van, like when we were kids, had a fucking air compressor in the back. Like we could blow up our own tire with the van.
Nice.
So, yeah, that was the good old days back when like cars functioned and lasted a long time. We had like one of those big ass like Chevy Astro vans.
There you
like
go.
Burgundy. It was a good time.
Was it one of the ones that had the old the couch in the back? You know, the bed the couch that folded into a bed.
Yes, and you could like turn it around so you could like back into a drive-through and just like leave the doors open and just be sitting in the back. God, I miss that van. That thing was like, so I mean, we got rid of that probably when I was like 12 or 13. So it's not like I got any like fun teen memories in there, but yeah, Matt. Unfortunately, spare tires are optional in some of these bitch ass cars, but that's why we don't drive bitch ass cars. You and me have some class and some taste. I know. For those of you that don't know, this wonderful man, Matt Lacey, drives beautiful Camaro, and I think it's a Camaro. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I've only seen it once. But this is a man of taste and class. So what is something that someone can do besides just like donating that would help Greasy Porcupines, expand, be more successful, possibly?
I mean, really, anybody can do this where they're at, in their community. If you have, if you have tools and you're mechanically inclined, anybody can reach out and make a difference in their community and help out. But for people that do want to get involved with the Greasy Porcupines Network, we are looking to expand it eventually nationwide and have it be something that's offered through an app service at some point in the future. Similar to like an Uber experience, but you'll be able to hail a service in your area and through mutual aid, agorism, whatever transactional you want to set up with that person is up to you. So I've had people give me silver coins. I've had people try to give me weed. So it's
Nice.
it's just there's a wide variety of stuff, and like the idea is just to open it up to the market and let people help out others around them and figure out what's going to work best for them. Eventually, I'd like to also add other services to it, plumbing, HVAC service, stuff like that, other professional trade services.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, you can go to greasyporcupines.org and find out more about it. There's a information on there. There should be a link on that website that you can sign up if you are interested in becoming part of the Greasy Porcupines Network. And there's also a donate link on there. So if you go to greasyporcupines.org/donate, there is some Cash App and Venmo links that go to accounts where I can the only reason I give those accounts is because there's no fees attached to them when people donate. So I can use every penny of what people donate to go towards parts for people who need them. And if it's through PayPal, they charge like a small percentage, but there's also a PayPal link to donate on there as well. But yeah, there's all kinds of ways to donate and help out that way. And if you know somebody in your area that is doing similar work like this, and they're interested in being part of a network, please have them reach out.
Yeah, I love the like techno agorism concept of like, a lot of people associate agorism with like return to monkey kind of shit, right?
Right.
But it doesn't have to be like that. I have the same problem as like the people that think that we can't have like an anarchist city, like it only works in like rural small towns or like cabins in the woods, and it's like, no, like we can combine things, like this can actually work. The techno agorism thing of like using modern technology and the convenience and the speed, but also like it doesn't have to involve government. Like we can do a lot of cool shit. I also like the diversity of payment methods, especially I will always accept cannabis for any sort of work that I do. You can pay me in cannabis. Tom Queter can attest to that. Livy McKay can attest to that. Multiple people can like reference that I will do just about anything for cannabis. But yeah, guys, if you're watching this and you are, like he said, mechanically inclined, check out doing something like this. Like, see if this is something that you have the time and the energy and the capacity to do. And if you can, check it out, because like this is something that's really cool. I think you take my word for it, whatever that means to you guys. But like I actually like this when you told me about this for the first time on Clubhouse, Alex. Like I thought that this was a really great idea, and it's I don't know, I had never heard of it, I've never thought of it, I had never like it wasn't really a problem that I had ever like could thought about how to solve, right? And I feel like I spend a lot of my time thinking about problems, and like especially since I've gotten into politics. So it's just I don't know, I feel like it's kind of rare that I get to hear someone be like, oh, hey, here's a problem that you never thought about, and here's a solution that I already thought about, and like it's already working great. And I'm like, oh shit, all right, wow.
Well, I mean, whether it's working great or not is up to opinion. But I don't make a whole lot of money, but I'm able to provide for basics, and the helping people out is the main part about it, is trying to get the community back on track, get the people around me that are hurting the most, that need to that really need the help up that would normally have it. So
yeah, and it's always better when we're able to be able to do things through this kind of like mutual aid style of like, I don't know. I was actually just having this conversation yesterday in the car with some normies about like how when you think about like taxes, like how many different pieces of every dollar gets taxed out, and like how little money you actually get to like use, and you start to cut a lot of not just the taxes, but like a lot of the other stuff and fees and operational costs and like a lot of other things you've and then even like to your point of using like Venmo and Cash App instead of PayPal, just to like really like utilize every dollar. It's not something that any like insurance agency or even like AAA or like any like government agency, large corporation, no one is like, I want to make sure that I like utilize every dollar that I'm allotted properly to help people as much as possible. It's just not a thing that you see when you get too large or too like overly centralized. And this is why we are who we are, and we believe. And we're all libertarian-y, anarchist, decentralization motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's been really great to help a lot of people along the way. There was a lady that I had helped on Mother's Day who had actually done her timing belt, and she's a older lady living on fixed income, and she definitely wasn't going to be able to afford the shop to have her car towed and fixed that way and stuff. So being able to do it at pretty much at cost, she was just that's what it's all about, that to me is payment in and of itself, to see people like see their lives improved.
Yeah, because if you don't have a car, like you're kind of in most of the country, like you're just like really fucked. Like everyone the say there's like a saying of like or a statistic that like so many people are like one bad accident away from like total financial ruin. Like it's usually an auto related thing, because it's just like you were saying, like some of these things are thousands of dollars just out of nowhere. The things that like a timing belt you mentioned earlier, like I actually kind of sort of know cars. Like I know I can change my own oil, my own brakes. Like I can do most of like the basic maintenance. I don't know where the fuck a timing belt is or what it looks like or how to change one. No idea. a fucking clue. So like that's definitely something I'm still gonna have to take it to a shop to do. Like if something like that ever happens to me, like I said, like I can do the basic shit, keep a car on the road for the most part, but yeah.
When a lot of those bigger prices have to do with skilled labor. A big chunk of what you're paying is for the hours that it's going to take for a master technician to look over your to work on your vehicle, somebody who knows what they're doing. And it's nice to be able to and there are definitely people that I have that are customers that still appreciate that, to the point that like I have people that will pay me extra. Like I've got a couple that have paid me, $200 for an oil change. And it wasn't because, that's what the oil cost or anything like that. Is because they wanted to give extra because they believe in what I'm doing. And so, there's a lot of people that can see that and recognize it and compensate for the others who can't, so
that's awesome. Then it really proves. I'm kind of like, I'm sure my sister isn't watching this show right now. She does sometimes, but I'm like 99% sure she isn't, because normally she would have commented if she was. But her and I have been having, like, I've been like having kind of a lot of the final stage, like anarchist, or at least like big L libertarian like conversation with her, of like, I hit her with the everything good the government does can be done better without it, and everything bad that it does could never be done at the same scale without government. And because she keeps just like hitting so many of those same circular reasonings. But part of her problem is that she fundamentally believes that like humans are so bad, that like they just wouldn't help each other. That the only reason that charity does as well as it does right now is because it's a tax write-off. Like if we didn't extort money from people in the first place and then incentivize them to help each other through this extortion scheme, that they would never have helped each other to begin with. And she fundamentally believes this.
It's just, it's funny to think that, because like, just imagine how many people would do things like what I'm doing if they didn't have the government taking away 40 to 50% of their income.
Right.
And, it floors me to think that like, there are definitely tax write-offs to what I do, but that's definitely not why I got into it. And it's just I don't know. The whole idea. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna just I'll go off on a whole tangent about taxation.
I mean, I don't get it, but I like. But the problem is she fundamentally believes this, and so somehow I have to actually not just like, I can't argue this point with her. I have to show her, and it's gonna take time, and I know this, because like she just fundamentally believes in such a flawed man that like it's gonna take some chipping away. But like things like what you do, I invited her to the Liberty Memes $5 donation club or whatever, I don't remember what the whole group thing is called, and told her about like the wheelchair vans group as well, and some of the stuff that like people like Queeter have been doing. And I'm basically, my plan is to just overload her with evidence of how wrong she is, and about how great libertarian like mutual aid is, and how much better we're doing everything that we're doing than any government agency has ever done any of it, and so much more efficiently, and with so many bigger smiles, which I think is important. Like let's not cut that out of this. Like what you're doing, like, is attached with an Alex Flores. Like, not only do they get great service, they get to hang out with Alex
Yeah, depending on who you ask recently, that mean.
Well, fuck whoever has an alternative opinion to this. But I do think that it's a key thing when we're talking about the kind of mutual aid versus government aid thing is if you've ever seen your average social worker or fucking DMV employee or even police officer or any government paid employee, even if they really are doing something that they kind of care about and they kind of enjoy, they're just not it's not the same as when you are actually actively just helping no one matches Alex Flores vibes. At least no government employee I've ever met matches your vibes as far as just enjoying what you do and enjoying life. And I think that that's an important part of the free market and what we believe is, when people get to do what they actually care about and they're free to actually just live their lives. They're free to medicate how they want to. They're free to earn the income that they want to. They're free to live on their own property without having to pay rent to the government. And they're able to just kind of do. Everyone's going to be happier. There's a lot more smiling faces in that world than the one we have right now.
Yeah, I mean, somebody told me a while back, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. You've probably heard that before, but
it's bullshit.
Well, and I kind of started to understand what it means, in doing this, and that, yeah, it's still work, but it's it changes what it is. It's not just work anymore. And so, when you look at a government employee, I have a lot of, I've had friends, and I've had a few brothers actually that have been police officers or law enforcement at different capacity, and yeah, I won't go. There were a while there that we couldn't even talk or have really decent conversations because they knew I talked a bunch of shit about cops. But, they're when they talk about, I had one brother who's really opened up to me about his experiences with it, and he's not in law enforcement anymore for a lot of the politics and stuff that were involved with it. But it takes the people who get into it for the right reasons, and it almost pushes them out for the wrong reasons, if that makes any sense. My brother wanted to get into it to help people, and wanted to feel like he was making a difference in his community, and ended up, hating it and being taught tactics that basically undermine our constitutional rights, for example, talking to me about how they were training police dogs in this particular academy. He was talking about how they trained the police dogs to signal on a vehicle on command, that it wasn't even that the dog was hitting on drugs or the scent of anything or whatever, that the dog was just taking nonverbal cues that you and I couldn't notice, but the dog would catch on to from their handler and would signal on a car, and that would give them what they called their Fourth Amendment waiver. And so it was hearing about things that was just it takes the job and it takes the people that go into it for reasons of I want to help my community, I want to help people, and want to make my community a better place, and it turns it into a job. Just I'm just here for a paycheck. I'm just
here so I don't get fined.
I've got to make such and such amount of tickets this week, or I'm not going to meet my quota for the month, and I'm going to get a performance review and get a demotion or a decrease in my pay because I'm not meeting these performance criteria, aka quotas of how many people I'm extorting every month. And so it's unfortunate, that a lot of people are really good people that get into those jobs, but they end up getting turned into part of the machine.
Yeah. Speaking of doing something that you love and not working, I had a moment of that yesterday while I was at work. Most of the time I'm pretending to be a Republican while I'm at work. I lie to most of the people that I talk to throughout most of the day about many things. That is my job. I'm a salesman. I have been for years, right? Politics, not any different than sales, right? It's a paycheck. But yesterday, I got to talk to this guy, and he was he's a Republican, but he was complaining. One of the first things that he said was he mentioned that our opponent was endorsed by the Houston Police Union. He was like, "That's not a good thing," and I was like, "I know, right?" And then so we keep talking, and maybe like 2-3 minutes later, I swear to God, without me ever mentioning the word, without me even really giving any clues, I didn't like really say anything out of the ordinary at all. He looks at me and he goes, "Tell me this guy is really a libertarian that's just running on the Republican line." And I was like, I mean, almost, but not really. I wouldn't quite go that far. And then I like explained that like I actually am a big L libertarian, and like I'm working for this guy because he is, I think, the best candidate in the race, and the closest to a libertarian, but definitely wouldn't quite call him one. He's closer to like a constitutional conservative. And he was like, "Okay, cool." And then we just like talked. That was the first like 6 minutes of our interaction. Then we talked for another 20 minutes about just other stuff. He was talking to me about qualified immunity. He was talking to me about civil asset forfeiture, eminent domain, fucking like third parties and how they're screwed in elections. He was just going off. And he was like, "I've read the Libertarian Party platform and it really resonates with me. I just like don't know too much about them or what they're up to here in the area." And then he asked me if I've ever been to like the Houston meetings, and I'm like, "No, I'm actually not from here. I know nothing about this area, but I know that your state convention is coming up here pretty soon, and I know pretty much all of this like main speakers personally, and they're all really awesome. One of them being Spike Cohen, our VP candidate from last year. So." Definitely go on. Like I got him, like I gave him like the website and invited him to the convention. So, and I think I'll be at the convention as well. So I might see this guy, and that would make me really happy. Cause like I finally I've only dropped my act like maybe 3 or 4 times in the 2.5 weeks I've been here. But it was that was by far the best interaction. Even when I was knocking doors for libertarians, I didn't get that great of interactions with people. Like I think I might have like pushed that guy the rest of the way out of the Republican Party in that one conversation. And this is like the day after Dave Smith is on Rogan, and I got a text from one of my normie friends, who's like is like a fairly based, not like semi-apolitical leftist black guy from Brooklyn, who just moved to North Jersey probably like 2 years ago. And we used to work in finance together, but he's still like mostly normie. But I've been like radicalizing him through my Facebook. And then he he shot me a text of like a screenshot of him like probably 40 minutes into the episode with Rogan. And he was like, "Yo, don't you fuck with this guy?" And I was like, "Yes." And then so maybe like an hour later he texts me back and he's like, "Yo, like he's making so much sense." And I'm like, "Yes." And like that fucking one episode of Rogan finally like finished pushing this kid over the edge pretty much, and like, is like actually willing to be like, "Hey, you know what? I think maybe I am a libertarian." And I'm like, and that was like the day before this conversation. And I'm actually just kind of like riding a high right now. Like I am actively watching the two-party system crumble before my eyes. Because like the other thing that I love about this job is I get a bunch of people that slam the door in my face going, "I'm never voting for another Republican again." And I'm like, dope. Like, I don't care. You think that hurts me, but it doesn't, because I'm not a Republican.
I think more than anything, I think what we're seeing is a trend towards nonpartisan politics. It seems that like I think every party right now has their own internal fighting that's going on. And I think that there are a lot of competing ideas that are like showing that just having 2 or even 3 options probably isn't enough, and that it needs to be more diverse to like better represent this country and the diversity of the ideas that form it. So,
yeah.
I'm seeing a trend more towards that. I think that in 10 or 20 years we may not have parties. So I think that we're heading towards an era where.
Well, now I'm horny. This is exciting.
And I could only hope, and that's of course me being really, really probably on the optimistic side. But I you see a lot of people that are just fed up with the two-party system. And then there are people that they were fed up with the two-party system, and then they came to the LP, and now they're fed up with the infighting in the LP, and they're like, well, maybe, it's just, maybe the party being within a party isn't the answer. So, and our generation in particular, and I think in younger are kind of more onto that concept less about the party and loyalty to that, and more about principles and what guides individual candidates or initiatives.
Yeah. I was actually, I kind of had almost that exact conversation today at a door, because this guy was, just playing out the trope of like kids my age aren't usually involved in politics. And this was, he was actually fairly, I actually dropped the L word on this guy too, but in a much more passive way. But yeah, I was just saying that like most people our age just realize politics is a joke. And like there's so many better, faster ways to help people. Like it's the point of libertarianism. Like it's the fundamental belief that we all share is that there are better ways to help people than through the government. Right? Like that's just what we know and love and care. Like, so why don't we live it out? So Greasy Porcupines, fucking fantastic. There's, if you guys follow Fight for Liberty, we post about other activists and organizations all the time. This is what we do. This is the game. We're not fighting for like 3%, right? We're fighting for actual tangible liberty. We're not fighting for like making people's lives actively better. So some of that's legislatively. We might have a couple of candidates on who are doing something cool, but it's this kind of shit. It's the stuff where people are actually making people's lives better. Like, I don't know. It seems like it should be simple, and then most of the people aren't on board. Or maybe it's just that the people that are on board are so on board with this idea that they're not loud about it, and they like, I don't know about them because I'm involved with the LP instead of like nonprofits. So maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm just being a hypocrite here. I'm just spitballing.
I've been finding a lot lately in the Liberty movement that a lot of the people who are out doing things aren't spending a lot of time talking about it online. And so, and a lot of this, well, and so a lot of the people that I think are doing things, they've got things that they're actively out doing, and they're not contributing to the fighting or the drama or the things that go on or tearing each other apart. The people that I notice, like yourself, or like, people that are doing real work, like they don't have time for it. And, and to me, like, that's what it's about. It's like, with like, our party platform says a world set free in our lifetime. And, I'm already 35, I'll be 35 in June. So it's like, depending on how long I'm going to live, we don't have that much, we don't have that long to go. And like, we've said that in our platform for a while now. And there are people who are here when the party was founded that like, they don't have much longer. And,
there are definitely people that are no longer with us. So.
Right. And so it's like, how long are we going to wait? Like how long are we going to fight each other while we figure this out? So, it's like, can we agree to disagree on some things and like focus on the real things that matter, like the getting people out of cages and reining in government spending and ending our overseas interventions and the atrocities that we've contributed to across the globe. Where are we at? Like, because the fighting each other isn't going to solve it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why, like, some people think that I take some of my beliefs a little too far. Like, I believe in starving the beast. I believe in just complete and total active non-compliance. I do not pay taxes, except for sales taxes because it's fucking unavoidable. But that's it, right? Like, I don't pay taxes. I don't have a driver's license. I will not ever pay for another set of license plates. I don't fucking participate. And I know that there are plenty of other people that are like me. I know that there are people that are like afraid to do that kind of stuff, and like a lot of them have other reasons, especially if you have kids driving around an unregistered car without a license with your kids in it isn't a great life choice. So like maybe don't do that. But
I can personally say, like, I drove around without a license for most of my 20s, and it definitely wasn't by choice. It wasn't like screw the government, I don't want a license. It was more of they took my license for petty crap, and like the amount of money that it would take to get it back was like, do I give the government this money for this arbitrary crap that they're trying to get money out of me, extort money out of me for, or do I feed my kids, or do I put gas in my car so I can get to work for the week? Like, and it was that, for a long time, the choice was, to go without the license and, all of that stuff. So
yeah,
I could definitely relate to being on that side of it, but,
yeah. So it is kind of funny. So for like 2.5 years, probably, it's just about 2 years, I was driving consistently on a suspended license, and like a baby libertarian, right? So definitely not like for this kind of moral reason, more like what you're saying. Just like I had like 9 suspensions from like a dozen different tickets in like 12 different counties, and no, like, and the thing is, most of them were like petty bullshit, like a tail light out or something, but then they pulled me over and I was driving on a suspended license, and now it's like a whole snowball effect. But I just kind of like ignored it, and when I moved to New York City, took my car off the road. Now it's been 4 years it's been almost 5 years since I've gotten a ticket, and so like I drive again now. In like I still have my license thing. As long as I'm in New York, it never shows up that my license is suspended if a cop runs it. I'm a good fucking driver because I have been trying to avoid the road pirates for so goddamn long that like I'm good at that now. And so I don't get pulled over, and when I do, actually, I've yet to get a ticket, like I said, in almost 5 years. So, fuck the government, like active non-compliance. But I understand that different people have different levels of ability to do that kind of stuff. But like where you can do it, and where you can participate in counter economics, do it, and where you can like just resist as much as possible. Like we were talking earlier about like homeschooling, anything like that. Just like, I don't know. I think that's how we see a world set free in our lifetime. Like you said, we're not going to elect a libertarian president. It's not going to happen. The country will literally collapse before that happens.
Well, and definitely people that are able to whatever steps you can take in your own life, like even as far as like taxes go. There's the argument that taxes pay for a lot of essential services that we enjoy as being citizens or whatever, but there are ways to fund your essential services and still have it be a tax deduction for you. So like, if you want to help support first responders in your community, but you don't want to give money to the police department, there are, different firefighter funds or different organizations like that you can donate money to and use that as a tax write-off, and money that you would have normally paid in property taxes that would gone without your consent to programs that you may not agree with, you can reallocate those funds and you have some control over that. It's not complete control, obviously, but there's ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
one of the pet project legislations that I would like to do once I get a PAC up and running is changing it to a 1-to-1 ratio for tax write-off. Like it's exactly like if you donate $5, that's $5 off of your tax bill. Like just straight up. Just encourage everyone to donate their entire tax bill. And just fuck the taxes. And then you could still file them, get your return and whatnot. Still be compliant, I guess, if you want to be a little bitch. What I love is that my viewership is very much split on a lot of this stuff. And so some people are watching this right now and they're like, yeah, bitches. And then other people are like, what did you just say to me? Because they're very much not with me on this kind of stuff. But I think that so I'm a big fan of Henry David Thoreau, right? And he basically wrote so this is how badass this guy is, right? He got arrested for tax evasion, right? His friend paid his taxes for him so that he could be released from prison. And then he cursed out the friend. Because he would rather be in prison than have any money go to the state in his name. No. He was that down for the act of non-compliance shit. And that's kind of the energy that I think not the entire movement doesn't need to take it that far. But if we could have a solid 5% of the movement be willing to take it that far and really just push the issues and stuff like that, really push things like jury nullification and just try to just do crazy shit.
It really does take people like that because even thinking about recently, you look at Adam Kokesh, for example, locked up, in Colorado for psilocybin mushroom possession, and was able to go home. He's at home now.
I also love that he always calls it a government-funded spiritual retreat. Whenever he goes to jail.
Well, it's just funny to me because there were people that rushed to bail him out, and he refused bail. Was no, I'm not gonna go along with this and comply with this whole system and charade that you're gonna go with. And I don't know. It was I was doubting when it was going on. I was man,
God,
I was thinking we aren't going to see Adam out of a prison cell for a long time, and then I see a message that he's home, and I was wait, what? What? Wow. And I don't know, it takes people like that, willing to push that line and willing to stand on the principle. And
yeah, because Adam, that's a great example because now Adam has actual legal precedent and documentation
in 2 states now.
In 2 states to possess psilocybin, and now he even got he got also written permission to drive without license plates or a license. What? That's nuts. That's what we were just talking about. That's the crazy shit that I do. Everyone fucks with me. He got legal permission to do this.
Yeah,
and people are out here whining and bitching oh no, I couldn't do that. That's scary. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, we've all been conditioned to believe that this is the way that things are, and we're all most of us are conditioned to think that we can't drive without a license, and chances are, if you try it in your town right now, the local police will probably harass you about it. And if you don't say the right things, you could end up in a lot of problems. But like, there are ways to go about it where like it's actually legal to, be a sovereign citizen and not participate. But, I'm not schooled enough to know how to do it. And, I'm one of those people that has to pay my taxes and fines and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Sucks. It is always interesting. Where was I going with that? I don't even remember. Circle back. We're Jen Psaki now. The sovereign citizen thing, I love that it's a trope at this point. I don't know, I just see a bunch of like memes about it, but I think you're the first person to mention it on my show, possibly ever, but definitely in a while. Like it's a trope, but I honestly don't hear it that often. This is
really fun.
Episode 123. I think it might be the first time we've actually talked about it.
No,
because Kokesh had to have mentioned it when he was on. But
it's funny to me that like when a cop will come up and ask me about it, if like I'm starting to like state that I don't like want to comply with what they're asking me to do or whatever, it's like, what are you, a sovereign citizen? It's like some terrible thing now that like they pushed it into that whole realm of labeling, like they've pushed libertarianism into this whole column of like, oh, you're a domestic terrorist because you believe in liberty and freedom.
Yeah. And now we're seeing what that kind of logic does to people in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that one for a second, because I haven't brought that up on the show at all. In case you guys are watching this in the future and you're curious where this lines up, Trudeau just basically announced that like he is going to use any means necessary to end this protest. It is fully illegal to have any association with anyone that is part of this or helping this. This is like full on fucking Nazis, like right north of us, and no one is saying shit. If any country in like the Middle East or Asia was doing this, like the entire UN would be like, these fucking bastards. No one's saying a goddamn thing.
I don't know that I think that anymore, though. I don't think the UN would. I
mean, if China was like literally just arresting just like massive protesters, and they have been like, I mean, we saw this in like Hong Kong, right? Like we backed
China
up
was
Hong
doing
Kong,
that,
and we were talking about it, and like, or I mean, not just us, but like the world was talking about it. That was when we were wearing masks in solidarity with the freedom people back when. Remember that? Remember that when libertarians were wearing masks voluntarily, like 3 months before they all said that they couldn't possibly ever fathom wearing masks. It's so great. I loved that irony. I fucking loved that irony on both sides, because like we were getting cursed at for like wearing masks, and like, people were dying for it in Hong Kong, and it's like, and then like 3 months later, it's just like this whole thing. Oh.
Yeah.
The world is fucked, but thankfully, when we zoom back in locally, we have great people like you and great organizations and causes like the Greasy Porcupines, making the world a little bit better, even though most of it's going to shit. So before we wrap up, tell everybody again where they can find you, how they can donate, how they can help out, and yeah, pitch why people should try to do this themselves.
Definitely. So, yeah, anything that you can do to make a difference in your community, if you have any type of skilled labor, any skills that you can apply locally to your community, and you can do so without the government being the middleman, is even better. Visit greasyporcupines.org. You can check out /donate if you want to donate to the Parts Fund or to the Bumper to Bumper fundraisers. We're on Facebook, Twitter. Look for Greasy Porcupines on there. On Facebook, there's also a Bumper to Bumper group that is attached to the Greasy Porcupines page. And that's where you can find a little bit more details on whatever current fundraiser we have going on right now. Right now, we're trying to raise money for Beverly. She's a older lady on a fixed income who needs a new motor for her car. There's another individual in there his name's Andrew. He's looking for a radiator and some antifreeze for his vehicle. He's got 8 kids and can't really afford to take his car to a shop. So definitely check those out. You can use B2B, 128 or something like that, whatever number they are, and I'll know exactly where to apply those funds to if you use that when you donate. Or if you just want to donate, it'll just go to whatever the current project is that's being, funded voluntarily. So other than that, like I said, get involved in your community, do what you can to help out locally, help your neighbors. And it's the best way that we can help this, the movement grow at large and to help freedom spread.
Amen. Help the movement grow large and help freedom spread. Fuck yeah. I love it. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Alex, you are a fantastic person and a great friend. And thank you so much for coming on and talking about this.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. And it's going to be cool seeing you in Reno, man, for sure. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm going to try to be there before that, actually, in Arizona. I'm going to come... I'm trying to actually be in Arizona like right before Reno and like go up to Reno with Arizona folks is I think how it's gonna plan out.
You can ride up with me if you want. I'm going up like a week ahead of time because I'm on the convention oversight. So right. I'll be up there like a whole week before convention starts. But
that I actually might take you up on that offer specifically because I also offered Kelsey some help with stuff there, and I honestly that week is free for me. So
sweet.
That sounds like a good time.
And I'm the volunteer coordinator, so maybe I can rope you in and put you to work. So.
Yes, please do. Well, again, thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, I see lots of hearts. But I hope that Alex sees lots of dollars in the donation bar. Even if you have never clicked on any link that I've ever put in any description, never donated, never done anything that I've told you guys to do, this one, go to Greasy Porcupines, give them a couple bucks, help out. And if you can do something like this in your area, do it. Like, this is awesome. And this is simple and I mean that in like the best way possible of simple, of like just efficient and wonderful, and it makes people happy and it makes people's lives better, and it's just great. So do it, and then come back here tomorrow night and tonight's a giant white pill. Come back tomorrow night. We've got a giant black pill for you guys. We're talking about COVID research and statistics and why we need more data analysts and nerds in the liberty movement and in the freedom movement. So come on back. I gotta balance you guys out, right? Like that's, I guess, maybe. That's how I'm justifying it right now, because it is kind of roller coastery. If you just like binge watch this show, the last like 5 or 6 episodes, hella roller coaster. But we'll be back here then. Until then, keep up the fight.
Shut up and sit down.